Hello out there, Alta community enrichment followers. My name is Kevin McCurdy. Many of you may know who I am, but in case you don't, I've been a long time skier and employee of Alta. Part of the Alta Ski Patrol and many years fitting boots and tuning skis at Alta Sports. Sarah Gibbs with Alta Community Enrichment has asked myself along with Iz to put together a little video on how to tune skis and wax skis. That actually does involve a fair amount of tools and know-how. So we figured, or at least I figured, I would shorten it up a little bit by a super 101 video. Basically maintaining a new ski or maintaining a recently tuned ski by your favorite local ski shop, or maybe this one. So what we're going to show you how to do in this video is take your pair of skis here. They might be new, or they could be just a freshly tuned ski from your favorite local ski shop. You've been at Alta for a while and you've made numerous trips out to High T and numerous entrances into Highboy, and your ski starts to look like that. This isn't horrible. It's definitely dry. Could use some wax. And you can just, gently, you can feel your edges and feel all the burrs where you've hit rocks here and there. And all those little nicks and burrs start to add up and start to affect the way your skis ski. So I think for most of you folks out there that are just starting to do this, or first time of attempting to tune, or as we're going to call it in this video, maintain your tune and wax your skis, is going to be finding a place to do it. Any sort of surface like this is going to work just fine. Most ski shops are going to have some sort of vise setup like this. And honestly, you really don't need that to do what we're going to do. The hardest part will be when it comes to scrape the skis. That's going to be the part that you're going to have to figure out some sort of way to sort of hold it so you can actually scrape it. I've made these little gizmos here that work awesome, but they're a little unnecessary for what you're going to do. But on the other hand, they're quite easy to make. I just clamp them up here to my little bench, and you can, to do the edges, you don't even need this part. You just slap it in like that. It gives you a super easy place to work. So we're going to detune the edges, get rid of all the burrs, make a cleaner edge, and we're going to wax them. You don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment to do that, but you do need a few things. You're going to need some sort of a stone, and I would recommend a diamond stone. If you're going to have one, maybe, I would say maybe a 400 grit is going to be just fine if you're going to have one. If you had a couple of them, you could get one that's a little coarser, maybe 120 grit or something, and then maybe buy a 600 grit. Another nice thing to have that you're going to use after you've deburred with your diamond stone is a gummy stone. This is a form of an abrasive type thing. It's more like a really dense pencil eraser that actually will help polish the edge and even maybe deburr a burr you've created with the diamond stone. A file would be a nice thing to have. Obviously an elastic to hold up your brake. And then you're going to need a plastic scraper to scrape the wax. You're going to need some sort of iron, and have a fancy ski iron like this, or you could actually use an old clothes iron. It's going to work just fine. So when you're getting ready to deburr your edges, you want to carefully feel where these burrs are, because they can be really sharp and kind of jagged, and you can even get metal slivers in your fingers. So you want to be really, really careful trying to find these things. And you're primarily going to be concerned with the side edge of your edge, not so much the bottom edge, but the side edge, because that's where the burr ends up after you hit a rock. And you know, all skis are going to come, they have some sort of a set bevel on the side edge, as well as the bottom edge, but what we're dealing with mostly is the side. In most skis these days, there's going to be a 1 degree or 2 degree. You know, and the edge in conjunction with the sidewall, it's a pretty big spot to actually figure out how to match that bevel. And if you're all concerned about matching it and you're a little unsure if you are matching it, a way to find out if you are is to take a Sharpie. You can just kind of take a black Sharpie and magic marker that edge. And that'll give you kind of a guide. So you find that it's a big enough flat spot that you can actually find what the bevel is, or at least match it with the diamond stone. But as you're working it, you can watch how that Sharpie disappears and make sure that you're reasonably matching the bevel that the ski already has. So once you remove the burr with your diamond stone, you can more or less do the same thing with the gummy. And that's going to polish it, smooth it up. You can hit both sides. You can even hit it direct like this. And that's going to polish it, as well as get rid of any little burrs that you've created with the diamond stone. So once you feel like you've gotten rid of all the major burrs from tip to tail, and you want to give the entire edge a little love, you can do so. You could either use the marker trick all the way down the edge, or if you feel comfortable that you're matching that bevel, you can do the whole edge. And again, that's going to just maintain the edge that the ski came with or just got put on your ski from your latest tune-up. So just giving it a nice, consistent pass from tip to tail, and then coming back, hitting the bottom. And again, that's just going to remove any little burr that you've created from using the stone on the side edge. And I would still do another full pass with that gummy stone. So once you've done that, they're ready for wax. So when you go to buy your wax, even if you choose to buy an inexpensive wax, which I kind of would suggest for lift service skiing, it's going to give you temperature ratings on it. And you probably can buy a little pack that's going to give maybe 3 different colors of wax, and it'll tell you which color is for which temperature. This is the wax I use here in the shop. It's what I use on my personal skis. It's inexpensive shop wax. And I feel like when gravity's on your side, you're riding the chairlifts, there's not really a need to be spending a whole lot of money on the wax. So I'm gonna first apply it like this. Getting a decent amount down there. So when it comes time to iron, you're gonna make a couple passes here. And it's okay you can kind of do the back and forth method, but you never want to leave the iron in place because you can damage the ski for sure. And I would stick to back and forth movements or just a nice slow continuous pass. I would avoid kind of the circular motion. Sometimes an iron can pick up a little piece of metal from the bench, or maybe the ski still has a piece of metal on it from doing the edges that we should have wiped clean. But in the event that there is a little piece in there and you do the circle thing, you're going to see that swirl all the way down the ski. So it's better to keep the iron moving just in a linear pattern. So I'm going to come back and do another pass. Again, keeping the iron moving all the time. Don't want to leave it in one spot. All right, so our ski is cool and it's ready to be scraped. And really, the longer you let the ski cool, the better, the more effective your wax job's gonna be. And one thing I didn't mention when I started to iron the ski is that you don't ever want to wax the ski when it's cold. You don't want to iron your ski right off the slopes. You want to let it. You want to bring it into the inside and let it come on its own to room temp. And as far as scraping the wax goes, it's always nice to have a nice sharp scraper. If you don't have a fancy little scraper sharpener here, but you do happen to have a file, that'll work too. I mean, you just want to make sure you keep the scraper, you know, at a 90-degree angle opposed to the file. You know, and a file does work in one direction. The tail always follows, so this is acting like the tail is following. And if I'm doing it this way, I'm going to flip it around this way too. And that gives you a nice sharp scraper and make the scraping process a lot easier. And again, this is where that nice sharp scraper really pays off. You're basically removing all the wort wax. So now that we've got them scraped, and you happen to have a nylon brush, this probably isn't super important, but yet there is a saying in the wax world that it's thin to win or to be fast and thick to stick. So we use a scraper to remove the bulk of the wax, and then you can use a nylon brush to get rid of the rest. And basically what you're doing is brushing the wax out of the structure that's in the base. And you can't do this too much. It will make your skis faster if you're getting rid of all that wax out of the structure. And as you do this, you'll notice that, especially on the black portions of the base, the more you brush this, the shinier the ski is getting. And as a general rule, a shiny ski is going to be a fast ski. So again, this was definitely a 101 lesson in maintaining a ski tune and waxing. So if there's anybody out there that wants a little more information, I'd be happy to help. Track me down.